Hello and happy Halloween. Just wanted to give a little something extra to close out the night on. Wearing my sort of lazy costume. Alright, and I'm going to switch this over and start. And enjoy. It was an old house up on Walfren Hill. It had sat empty for so long no one living in town could remember who had last lived there, or who the first was to call it Drowning House. Some said it was because of the cliffs. The sound of the waves breaking on the rock drowned out the sound of anything else. That was just what you told tourists. Tourists in town to see the leaves change, or families visiting from out of town. The people who lived there knew the truth, because of what happened to the people who dared to go there. One story is about a small family, Victor and Marie Ellison, who had bought the old Walfren estate. What had happened, nobody said much of anything at all. They were polite enough. From the Midwest, with their small son, they'd been dreaming of opening a bed and breakfast. Victor was a contractor, and before their son had been born, Marie had been a painter. Both had always dreamed of living by the sea, having the kind of life you see in magazines or movies. Morning coffee on the veranda, open windows that let the sea air cool the house in the summer. Sunrise on the water, the sound of the tide lulling them to sleep. For a few weeks, that's exactly what they had. Victor cleared brush from the drive, patched up damaged parts of the house, even toyed with the idea of replacing the light and water fixtures, until he realized the house operated on its own gas and water. A perfectly self-sustained paradise. Of course, the house had its moods, but he said it was solid. Then, slowly, came the sound of water. Not from the tide coming and going, not from any faucet dripping or bath being filled, just a gentle rush through the pipes in the walls. Soft at first, but then it took on a rhythm, slow, even, like blood pumping through your veins. Marie heard it most in the evenings, after she put her son to bed for the night. Soon she started painting again. At first it seemed normal, fitting even. The house, the cliffs, water crashing on the rocks. That Victor started to notice after a time that the focus was never on the house, or the green grass, or the figure of a boy playing in the field. Only the water. Then, a girl waist deep in a black pond. A hand-breaking surface was still pool. Faces beneath the ripples, as if hidden in the canvas. Victor might have laughed it off, but his mind was elsewhere once he found the envelope. It was in a locked desk drawer in the study, the key still sitting in the lock. Inside were a few papers yellowed with age. some written in French, others English, so formal it barely made any sense. The heading was clear enough, though. Trust and Stewardship of the Voifand Estate, 1819. It wasn't just a deed. It was a binding trust. It said that ownership of the estate could never be sold, only inherited by a direct blood descendant, with the property to be held in trust by the bank until one came to claim it. Should any sale occur in violation, the transaction would be considered void. Dread set in. Sure, he owned the house now. But according to this, should any descendant show themselves, he would lose everything. And there, at the bottom, in dark, curling ink, a covenant that the house shall never pass into stranger hands. Victor read it twice, then a third. The bank had sold him the house 6 weeks ago. Cash he'd borrowed, if this document was valid, and it looked so very real. He didn't own a thing. Not the land, not the house, nothing but a pile of debt and a dream that could be shattered with a word. Marie might have told him to leave it alone, that she was lost in her paints. She said the water in the walls was louder now, and the air in the cellar felt alive. But Victor wouldn't let it go. He drove to town the next morning with the papers, meaning to show the county clerk, meaning to get answers. But the clerk, out sick, assistant on duty took one look at the papers, refused even to touch them. You'll want to take them back up the hill, she said. That's where they belong. Angry and terrified he did. That night, his son woke up screaming. A monster in the walls, eyes peering through the cracks between the slats. Victor had nearly broken his neck slipping on a wet spot on the floor. He blamed Marie and lost his temper. When Victor went to wash his hands later, the water in the pipes ran hot enough to steam. The next morning, Victor's truck was still at the end of the drive. The door stood open. Marie found him in the study, the envelope soaked through but the ink firm in place, and Victor's lungs full of salt water. Marie called the sheriff, but the phone gave only static. A storm raged outside. She tried to leave with her son, barefoot, but rain made the hill slick, easy to fall, not so easy to climb up. No one knows how far she got before she realized and turned back. When the rain stopped, the sheriff made his way up the hill. The boy found asleep in the cab of the truck, safe and dry. Marie was never found at all. When the sheriff asked the boy what had happened, Mama said she had to follow the water. Sweet dreams. Well, I definitely hope that was enjoyed. Hi to many. Yes, it definitely earns that name. Um, but yeah, I thought I would cap off the Halloween off and on stream with a little short story reading. Um, yeah, I would do more, but yeah, I definitely need to rest. I think I um overestimated my overestimated myself for last night and this afternoon, but it was a lot of fun and worth it. But with that, I will wish anyone watching, either live or later, I definitely intend to, and definitely intend to rest up. Thank you very much. Some nice horror movies and sleep and leftover candy. Then happy Halloween again.